So, Jason, I think there's only two reasons that we're recording today. There's only two possibilities in my mind for where we find ourselves at this exact moment.
Money and whores.
No, neither one, unfortunately. The first is that there is a God, and he has heard my prayers about not reviewing every goddamn JRPG that rolls across the loading bar's desk these days. But
that's a reach to assume that he doesn't have bigger things to worry about, but okay, go ahead.
Equally plausible is that there was some kind of Freaky Friday Mayan statue, we said the same thing at the same time thing, and somehow our reviewing priorities got switched.
Probably that.
Okay, all right.
That sounds plausible.
All right. I get to be Lindsay Lohan, though. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah, of course you do. You do all the drugs.
That's right. That's right. Well, welcome everybody to the Loading Bar. We are here today to finally review Fire Emblem. You guys have been having a freaking cow about this one, but Mr. Murphy over here has one Japanese franchise that he likes, and it is this one. And so I wanted to give him the time to do this shit right. So, boom.
Yes.
Here we are.
I don't even remember why I played the original Fire Emblem. It was a long time ago, and why did I grab it? I don't know. It's unlike me. It's very much unlike me.
Well, yeah, when you said, hey, I want to review that Fire Emblem game, I was like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. But I played the original, and I loved the hell out of it. And now the classic Fire Emblem, let me tell you. Let me back up. Fire Emblem.
Awakening.
Strategy. What's that?
Awakening, right?
Awakening,
Yeah.
yes. It's a strategy-based game where you go through this, your typical RPG plot, and they're the bad guys, and they want something, and the good guys band together, and you end up assembling this team along the way, and each one has their own abilities, and some of them work better with others. You can pair up with others to get bonuses, but you start to assemble this small army. Mm-hmm. And as you go into each battle, you pick your guys that you want to use, and you equip them with whatever's best, and you place them on the board, a grid, and then you throw down with whatever they've thrown against you, and you just do one by one. It's turn-based. I'm going to send this guy over here to fight this guy. I'm going to send this guy over here to fight that guy.
So,
and everybody takes their turns.
Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Ogre, Shining Force, that kind of thing. Tactical RPG.
Yes, okay. Yes. And I actually tried, based on my love for the original Fire Emblem. I don't know if it's the original one, the one from a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Based on that, I tried Final Fantasy Tactics, and I was just like, oh, this is such a pain in the ass.
Well, Final Fantasy Tactics could be that game. I have some difficulties with that game. That game will let you screw yourself in a really, really bad way without too much not paying attention.
Yeah, like buying it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, this is this is the 13th Fire Emblem.
Really?
In the series? Yeah, holy
shit. I was like, well, the other one. I guess I should be more specific.
Yeah. It looks like they've been going on since 1990. April 20th, 1990 in Japan was the first Fire Emblem game. So, that brings up a good point. Why don't you lay out the story for us? Because, with 13 games, I don't know if this is kind of a self-contained story, or if you need to know a crap ton from the old Fire Emblem, or it's not going to make sense, or what.
No, you play this guy who, and you get to design your character, customize how he looks and everything, and what you want the primary attributes to be. It's not quite as granular as a lot of big RPGs or anything, but there's some flexibility there that I wasn't anticipating. You wake up and you've got amnesia in the middle of this field, and these guys find you, and they are the shepherds. Basically this kind of squad of knights protecting Isilia. I think that's how you say it. This kingdom.
Oh.
They're the two main characters. Their sister is the queen or the princess or whatever. And she's trying to kind of make right of all of the crap that her dad did and like waging war on other countries and stuff like that. But the other countries really haven't let that go.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of diplomacy, and she's trying to be peaceful, and she's your glowing blonde fantasy princess, of course, without flaw and all this crap. But you get embroiled in this war, and then there's, time travel that unveils itself relatively soon in the story. Yeah. And then there's the mighty Fire Emblem artifact that everybody wants and can destroy the world. And yeah, it's video game.
So it sounds like this was essentially the equivalent of the tactical JRPG Mad Lib, where they just filled in the Fire Emblem for all of the blanks in the Mad Lib.
Yes.
Okay. Because I was thinking, when you started laying that story out, I was thinking this game didn't sound nearly as cool as you may have led me to believe when your guy with amnesia gets found by the shepherds and then learns how to be a shepherd. Like, you
thought it was like a game where you herded sheep?
I thought it was a Harvest Moon spinoff for a second. I was like, there's been 13 of these. They sell real well in Japan. I don't know. I played one Fire Emblem, but maybe that was the Fire Emblem action version, and the rest of them are just Farmville Sims that you do.
Yeah. No, actually, when I say the shepherds, I mean you find a bunch of clones of Shepherd from Mass Effect.
Nice. Yeah. All right, that's cool.
And you join them.
Some guy in a field with one of those big sticks herding a bunch of Commander Shepherds around.
Exactly. Ashley!
All right. So, okay. Well, one of the things that I remember from my brief time with, I think it was just the GBA Fire Emblem, was that there was a lot of kind of high stakes involved because the characters had perma-death, where if they got killed in the middle of a battle, they were just dead, and that was it. There was no stunned or knocked out or whatever, just dead. Is that here as well?
Yes, but I turned that shit right off. Because, if you don't plan everything, and you're not careful, you will lose one of your badasses, right away. Like, something as simple as, I forgot to equip him with healing potions and now he's screwed. Or, this character went over here to investigate this sparkly thing on the map, my healer, and now my healer is too far away from my badass, and my badass is overwhelmed, and the tide will turn immediately, and you will lose your guy forever. Because when you go into the Fire Emblem, when you start it up, you can play with casual mode or classic mode. Mm-hmm. And classic is the unforgiving one, where it just will totally just rip you a new one if you're not careful, and your guys will be permanently dead. Yeah, with the casual mode, they're just dead for that match.
Oh, okay. So they just get knocked out, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
I heard that I'm reading the Wikipedia page, and it says that the difficulty levels in this game are normal, hard, lunatic, and lunatic plus. Which one of those did you play on?
I played normal. No. Yeah. No. No, I just played normal. Yeah, because I'm a babe amongst the wolves when it comes to these JRPGs. I gotta tread lightly because I think they know all the shit I talk about them. And so they're like, okay, he picked up a Fire Emblem. Let's fuck him.
They just got, there's code in every JRPG that reads whatever the username on the console that you're playing it on. And it's like, it's Jason Murphy. Crank that shit up.
Yeah. Let's call all of the Japanese sadists who've been keeping a log of all the horrible things I've said about them.
It's nothing but Korean StarCraft players that have been piped in to play the enemies in all of your video games from now on.
I think by this point I can never go to anywhere Asian.
Well, this is a 3DS game, and one of the things that I liked, I don't know, it always stands out in my mind from the Shining Force series was how are the graphics? I mean, obviously you're gonna have your overmap with just little representation, but do you get cool battle animations and zoom in and kind of cinematic stuff, or how does that work?
Yeah, you've got your overhead map, which is just really primitive. I mean, it looks just very, very basic, and it's very linear. There are a couple of side quests that you can go do, but really the story is just point by point on the map, like following a path, But you've got this overhead map, and then when you zoom in, you'll have your talking RPG heads, where an animation of them will come up, and then a primitive animation of the other one will pop up over your static screen. And it'll have a facsimile of a conversation or whatever, before the fight.
Is there voice in this? Probably not.
Yes.
Right? Yes?
Yeah, there is actually, and there are actually some cutscenes that are really pretty damn good. Mm. But there's voice and everything, and some of it will be fully voice acted. But when the characters are talking to each other, it'll have the dialogue below, but rather than have it all acted out. Mm-hmm. They'll have some short statement or grunt that pretty much sums up what they were saying.
Okay.
Like, in the text, it'll say, I really can't believe that this is the decision you're making. But the voice, as you're reading that, will go, what? Or instead of like, if they're frustrated, it'll have this long thing of, I don't know if I can take much more of this guy. And it'll just go, I hate you. It's funny because it's like, don't want to read? Okay, we'll just give you a quick synopsis. Sometimes it's just a grunt or a sigh.
So you can close your eyes and pretty much play the game like caveman style. Is that what you're telling me?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. And then, whenever you fight someone, when you go in to make your attack, it'll zoom into kind of a Final Fantasy type thing of, okay, here's, this guy on the left and here's this guy on the right. The guy on the left jumps at the guy on the right. The guy on the right jumps at the guy on the left. And then we zoom back out to the overhead map.
Okay. So nothing too fancy, nothing.
No. Although again, the little animated cutscenes are actually really good.
Are they anime? I mean, are they actual video, full video or?
Oh yeah, it's anime and it's good stuff. Action packed. It's pretty cool.
Cool. Very cool. I have to ask just because I'm still curious about this, but on the 3DS, is there 3D? Does it do anything? Did you turn it off while you were playing the game?
Yes to all of those things.
Okay.
I tried it for a little bit and it was one of those things where, I tipped I've griped about the 3DS a number of times for this, but I'm going to do it again because we don't review a lot of 3DS games, but it was, okay, I have the 3D turned up. I'm staring at this thing that requires me to stare directly at this pretty small screen. And if I tilt it just a little bit, the 3D just goes all to hell.
Right.
So yeah, I played it a little bit with the 3D and it looked all right. It looks good. It was decent. But I was playing this handheld device, which moves a lot. And, so I was just like, all right, okay, yeah, fine, whatever. Turn it off. Okay. So yeah, as I do with every 3D game, I just end up turning it off.
Okay. Well, I hear, one of the things that I was interested in before this game came out was I hear that there is like a kind of a, I don't know what exactly we call it, like a partnership system in this game where you can like hook units together and they develop like a relationship with each other. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's really I think they call it the support system. And, if you have guys, because, there's a lot of, tactical, thinking going on here. When you're on the battlefield, if you have somebody next to each other, they'll help each other out if they're flanking each other or whatever. And it will give like extra hit points, do extra damage, stuff like that. And some of these work better than others. And as time goes on, these people you build their relationship by, fostering these goofy conversations, because it does have that, silliness to it. At times. It's not wholly a silly game, but there are moments when they're talking to each other where it's just kind of goofy. The game has a sense of humor, and it's not that bad. But as people go on, they can bond and get married and everything, and it the more you use certain people with each other, the better they get. So yeah, it's interesting because it really makes you think about, okay, I really want to place these two guys next to each other so I can maximize their stats going into this fight. And, or also because, you've got you've got lance beats sword beats axe beats lance.
Right.
So rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you want, okay, we're going to go up and fight this guy on a Pegasus and he's got a lance. Well, if he's on a Pegasus, I'm going to want one of my guys with the bow and arrow, and I'm going to make him stand next to the guy with the axe, because the axe can take out somebody with the lance. He's got he's got one up over the lance. And so, yeah, it's, when you go into a fight, if you get the chance, there's a lot of planning and thinking and agonizing over, okay, no, I want this guy here. No, he gets along better with this guy, but, oh, he's got this weapon, and then there's this guy with this sword over here. And so, yeah, you can sit there and just play a lot of the game just planning your fight before it rolls out. So
not something you can really play on autopilot, what you're saying.
You can.
Yeah.
You can do it to where, and they tell you early on in the game when they're teaching you, like, he doesn't have to give us all these commands. We can just put it on auto and do it ourselves. But then they basically say, but we might really screw it up and die. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not leaving it to you jackasses. I'll handle this.
Well, I'm curious to know that with that system of developing relationships between the different players, did that give you more of like an emotional investment with those characters? When you see them like grow and have conversations and stuff like that, does it make you more invested than just like, kind of a chess piece on a board type of thing? Like, do you feel like you get to know them or whatever? Or
you do. And there are some relationships and everything. And a lot of times in games, I do have some sort of emotional investment in that guy's a dick. Right. I hope he dies. But with this guy, the biggest jerk on the battlefield was also the one who kicked the most ass in my group. And so I was just like, yeah, screw you other guys. This guy can have whatever he wants. We're going to give him all the good stuff. Yeah. So the relationships and everything, I didn't care. All I wanted was, I was looking at it from a purely numbers perspective. I'm like, oh, your conversation is cute, but make no mistake, you're the sacrificial lamb if somebody has to die.
Fair enough. Well, everything that you said so far, it seems like it's been pretty positive. Were there did you have any problems with the game?
No, really, my quibbles were very, very minor. It is extraordinary. Okay. I did have a couple of gripes. It is extraordinarily linear, as I mentioned earlier. That is annoying. 'Cause it's really just point after point that opens up on this wavy line on the map. And you go back and forth on that, but it's really, there's not any sort of free roam, no real random encounters or anything like that. And of course, right away, when I first started playing, this island off the coast opened up. DLC Island!
Oh, man.
And I was like, yeah, screw that place. I'm not going there. And if it's DL free, maybe I'll visit. But DLC, suck it.
Yeah.
And then there's all sorts of, little side quests that you can go to and check out and unlock new stuff and maybe get new shops to shop at that carry different things. Or you can just go along. But the main quest itself is just extraordinarily linear. So that was a little bit annoying, but, really not that bad. I mean, here the story was, I don't know, it was integrated pretty tightly, within the gameplay. And so there wasn't a lot of optional narrative,
Fair enough. Well, before you give a score, do you think, is there anything else you feel like people need to know about the game before they decide whether or not they're going to buy it?
Not that I can think of. There's some RPG elements here, but I think it's very introductory. If you're ever wanting to get into this world, this is probably a good way to get your feet wet. So yeah, it's cool. My only thing is that, all your weapons kind of, you can enhance them and everything, but they degrade rather quickly, I thought. So you're always having to replace stuff. And like one of my badasses, he had the silver lance, which was awesome. And then it broke and I couldn't find, I might as well have just equipped him with a mop after that.
Well, can you repair equipment or it's just...
Yeah, you can upgrade it and all sorts of stuff, to it. And, but I wasn't paying attention and I just snapped it in half. So it's like, oh, things break. Crap.
Which you figured out right in the middle of a fight when your best guy's weapon broke into.
Totally. It's like, you're doing 33 points of damage per round and now you're doing 12. It's like, yeah, that's that whole I need to be paying attention thing.
Yeah. Well, what do you give it?
I give it a full price.
Yep.
High full price. I really, really liked it. You can pick it up, play, just a little battle, and then put it back down. If you really want to challenge yourself, and you can put it on classic mode, which I'm kind of curious about doing. So just to see how far I can make it. If my casual playing is any indication, not very far. But yeah, I think it's a pretty robust game and it's interesting. And if you like that, really planning out your combat and going into turn-based that isn't, it's the good turn-based and not the bad turn-based, then Fire Emblem is the one for you.
Okay. It's also should be worth noting that, I know that you had some problems finding this in a retail store originally.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that they've gotten more of them. I actually got this from Jeff, who had gotten it through Gamefly.
Yeah.
they were able to get it. But I went to several stores, like within the 2 weeks after it came out. And, I even went into that dreaded shit stop, that will not be named appropriately. And hey, well, you know, you didn't pre-order it, so Nintendo didn't manufacture enough of them. They only made however many we told them to make. Go right to hell! You go right to hell!